Over the course of the first three introductory videos, we laid out the basic groundwork for conducting our investigation into theology, religion, and spirituality in general. In the first video, we discussed the spirit of the matter, the rationale and reasoning behind the channel, and indeed the endeavor in totality, the general impression that we're wishing to make, and the expression we're intending to relate. In the second video, we discussed the mind of the matter, the general outlook and attitude, the necessary mindset or mentality that is required to engage the investigation. In the third video, we spoke to the body of the matter and sort of designed a framework or schematic, general outline, as well as introduced some of the basic terminology we'll be using, introduced the factor that we will be utilizing uncommon or unfamiliar terminology, or perhaps more appropriately, we'll be making use of descriptions for common terminology, uncommon descriptions for common terminology that we'll be putting into play, which will be an ongoing effort. We have an enterprise in terminology. We'll be continuing to create our own terms and basic glossary here. Redefine our reality, which hopefully throughout the first three introductory videos we managed to establish that the key factor for world building, or the fabric, what shapes our reality, is intelligence. The shaping of our reality is determined by our understanding. That's why we call it understanding. It's holding everything else up. And our understanding is largely determined by implications. So in this video, this will be the last, this will be concluding the introductory phase of the channel, of our presentation, as it were. In this video, we'll be speaking to some of the greater, more prominent bodies of evidence to imply that we are indeed all part of a living organism that is conscious, that is aware, a real living entity or God figure. First up to bat is the Baxter effect. This dude, Baxter, I don't know if that's first or last name. I don't really know much of anything about that, but I did study the actual experimentation itself. This dude Baxter conducted experimentation with plants. And what he would do is he'd put like an EKG or a lie detector sort of machine, hook it up to a plant. And he did several different, ran several different tests and trials on it and didn't get much of a response. But at one point, the dude thought, well, I'll go ahead and I'll damage the plant. He thought about burning it with fire. He thought about burning the leaves of the plant, and the plant reacted. The lie detector went off and it showed a fear response, that this plant indeed was afraid. It had feelings. The plant itself was thinking, it was responding. The plant was aware not only of outside influences, but the plant seemingly was aware of his intentions before he even did it. He thought about burning the plant and it reacted to his intention. So we know, A, we're already of the understanding that intentions shape reality, that your intention, for all intents and purposes, is the implication that shapes things, whatever you're intending to be or to do. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, by the way. But we know that intention is a primary property in creation, so that fits. It's a scientific proof of that factor. And B, obviously we have that evidence that the plant, which is the basic, he called the Gaia, the spirit of our home world, the living, fundamentally living aspect of our world that we know of, it's plant life. That plant life does interpret and respond and does understand what's happening around it. And when he also conducted these experiments at range, which fits with our quantum mechanics. We've become aware of, such things as entanglement, where particles can be entangled and be moving in sync regardless of their distance from each other. Well, the same thing happened with the plant. He took the plant all the way over across the ocean, not the entire ocean, but over a, over a sea at least, into another country. And that plant, the same plant, when somebody intended to do something to that plant, the portion that he had taken with him, cutting clippings of the plant, reacted. Or it could have been the other way around. It might have been threatening the clippings and the plant reacted, I'm not sure. But one way or another, it reacted. And it might not have actually been overseas. But it was a fucking stretch away is the point. That this plant reacted to a portion of it being threatened, however far away. So we know that there's an energy connecting the plants. We know that there's a consciousness to the plant. We know that plants are every fucking where, which gives us the implication that, all of these plants are connected. They all have a living consciousness that shows the world has a living consciousness. The second evidence to show for is the Emoto experiments, where the Japanese dude Emoto took water and he put water in different jars, or petri dishes, like little jars, and he labeled them with words representing certain emotions like love, hate, anger, shit like that. He also did experiments with music as well, but we're thinking of this one with the emotions is the bigger one that we want to look at. But either way, with the music or the emotions, he did these experiments, and he had people view these jars and focus on the word and think of that and try to produce that emotion in response, to be angry at the water, which, I mean, I don't know how these people pulled that off, but you can, make emotions happen as possible. So these people are angry at the water, they're hateful towards the water. Now, depending on the emotions that these people projected, the intention that these people projected at the water through their attention, through the energy of their attention, the water reacted in various ways. And some of it, the very molecular structure of it would crystallize in different patterns, and everywhere ranging from love to hate to kill. And the loving intentions crystallize this water perfectly in these beautiful geometric patterns that fit like puzzle pieces. And then going on down the line towards the more, shitty aspects of our emotional system, the water got disrupted and was kind of, I suppose you could say, uglier. It was less geometrically sound, all the way up to the intention of destruction, the intention to kill. I'm going to kill you. Somebody was intending to kill the water somehow, but that was the emotion they were sending at it. And this water was just awful. It looked like it had no structure whatsoever. It was just dismantled. Like this was the poorest excuse for water molecules you done ever saw. So we know that water holds memory. Water feels intention. Water resonates emotion and intention, and it holds memory. It crystallizes and holds memory in these patterns, which I'm absolutely certain there's a manner by which to read that. Eventually we'll have instruments that can actually, extract memory from this crystallization. But, that's two prime examples. And then of course we have just human DNA, how it has codes written in it that can be unlocked. The genome has codes written in it that can be unlocked, and these codes are uniform amongst everyone. They have slight differentials, but they are uniform patterns, uniform codes. We have instances of telepathy. We have all kinds of things of that nature, psychic occurrences and ESP and such, extrasensory perception, as they call it, where people are capable of, seeing into the future, seeing what's happening to other people. We have remote viewing, which is absolutely proven. I've done it. She's done it. Everybody's fucking done it. It's not even difficult to do. Anybody can pop out and move around outside of their body. It's easy, and it's very, we don't have a machine that can record it and show you. But when you have 100 people saying they've all done it and coming back with the same experiences, you kind of got to lean towards, yeah, it's probably true. I'm guaranteeing you that it's true, I'm promising. But, so therein we have a field of energy that we're capable of engaging all around, everywhere in the world all at once. And we have people with certain psychic abilities. It's not proven scientifically, but we have enough evidence of it. We've conducted the investigation, it satisfied our interests, that to our satisfaction, that people are capable of reading memory from objects, indicating that objects, just any given object's molecular structure, will in fact record memory and resonate with it, will record a code, and code it's whatever resonates with it, its immediate vicinity. So we have all these connections. We also have, of course, Carl Jung's work on the collective unconscious, wherein, what did he say? He said he could put images in people's minds, and that other people would see these images. Again, that harkens back to telepathy, but for the most part, the collective unconscious was speaking to all of us sharing a consciousness. And to speak to that, we have the 100 monkeys theory, where you give a monkey a potato and it learns to wash it in the water, and then all of a sudden the whole fucking tribe, his whole tribe of monkeys, is learning to wash the potato, and then monkeys over here in another fucking forest know how to wash the potatoes because of them, because they're sharing a consciousness, because one idea pops up in my head and it's shared by however many different people. Anybody that has the same, like, I can tell you this now, and the 100 monkeys theory is not actually like rock hard proven. In fact, a lot of people think it's a myth, but I can tell you right now that if you have a signature of values, a combination of values in your system, or a system of values, so to speak, that line up or correspond, resonate with somebody else's, and that person has thoughts in their head, that person has an inspiration, that a lot of feeling comes behind it and boosts that signal, they're going to get it. People who share the same frequency are going to pick up on each other's concepts telepathically. It's not, of course, as I said, it's not proven by scientific instruments, but I'm telling you that it's true, and you can believe me or not. But I know, so I'm not allowed to lie. It's Protocol 2. Anyways, outside of these evidences, and there are others to speak of course, we have, on top of Carl Jung, collective unconscious, we have Carl Jung's work on synchronicity, which synchronicity is astounding. Any spotter has engaged it. We've all engaged it. It's a communication with the world where these seemingly coincidental happenings will occur that link different people and different instances together, that the world will guide a person, that the world will speak to a person, understand a person well enough to coordinate them in advance, and that you can actually do this. I've learned to coordinate synchronicities for other people in the past year or so. I've learned to do that to a pretty heavy degree. I can, on a good day, I can calculate things months in advance, and most of the time it works out. So we know that there is a telepathic communication. We know that the world is alive and it's communicating with you. We know that everything in the world is sharing a consciousness. So I mean, these are scientific evidences for the skeptical minds out there. These are scientific evidences of a collective consciousness, of a collective soul, that we are all sharing a mind in this world. As we know, coming into the study of quantum mechanics and seeing, getting deeper into quantum mechanics, we find out more and more and more that how unreal and unstable everything really is. It's kind of like living in a dream that we're all sharing. In fact, that's precisely what it is. So we have evidence to that effect, and that's the mindset we need to keep here. Insofar as the body is concerned, the bodily aspect, we introduced a few of the basic terms that we're going to be using. Like fixations are points where attention drags and falls into certain items of inquiry that drag people's attentions and become kind of topics, you could say. And fixations can go in either direction. They can be speed traps, or they can be investments. Solid investments are like the relationships you build with people, positive relationships where you learn and you gain values. Basically, the determination between an investment and a trap is going to be the energy that's involved. And we have two basic kinds of energy, so two energy sorts or types, and that's grounded energy and free energy. Ground energy is it's a trap. It's going to circulate into itself like a black hole. It's going to suck in attention, information, intelligence, and it's just going to accumulate basically trash. And that you get these fixations happen in your mind. They happen in your brain. You build up fixations in your own energy system that just kind of collect junk and accumulate. They're like dusty, balls of dust in the corner of your mind. But free energy will move about. It will jump from point to point. It will increase in connectivity and build bridges between things, build arcs of energy between different items of inquiry, topics of interest. It's going to continue to move and build momentum and strength, and the energy is going to get stronger as it moves. And this is the basic ideology behind engaging synchronicity, is that you want to have a free signature. You want to be moving from Q to Q to Q, building momentum, building energy, which will drag more, via magnetic compatibility, which is another consideration we should be speaking to later on during this course, but that's more for principal dynamics, which of course we also introduced the term value and aspects, which value, as we said, is kind of meaning, really, but it's more the functionality of a thing. A value is the influential aspect. It is the principal dynamic, you could say. That's what a principal dynamic is a value. Aspects are more what gives a thing its relative meaning. Aspects are kind of modifications to the essential substance of the value, which the value is going to be, the general influential force behind the actual construct of a thing, the concept behind it, whereas the aspect is ideas and concerns, considerations, and implications that people attach to them. And we're unclear as to whether these aspects actually exist attached to a value or more attached to a person as kind of like a personal filter, but either way it doesn't really matter at this point. It's just the basic consideration that we have aspects that cloud our vision in regards to values. However, those aspects are what give the things its meaning. It's what gives it its relative meaning to you, and it is what paints the meaning onto the value as you perceive it, and allows for the world to communicate with you directly. That communication with the living consciousness of the world is shaped by these aspects that are attached to it. A certain thing may imply something to you. That's how it works. You see something, a cue, and that cue is essentially the world giving you an implication via these aspects attached to the value. But that's all for principal dynamics. That's regarding synchronicity and engaging magnetic compatibility. For this video, just wanted to, for secular theology, speak to, that's the general attitude we want to have. The outlook that we need to be carrying here is that there is a living consciousness to the world. It exists, it's something, so we're going to dig into it and find out what it is, and we're going to use religion to get there, because religion likes to talk a whole big game about how it knows it so well. Let's find out how well it does. Thank you for this time. Looking forward to launching. In the next video will be the beginning of the actual course, where we will speak to, essentially, I wanted to make this course a responsive course where people would, give comments or response videos or what have you, or just speak to me via messenger or whatever, engage with me somehow, and I would respond to their queries or inquiries. I would respond to their suggestions or debates, But in order to get that part of the course started, we're going to have to start out with giving our own conclusions to things and seeing how people react. So when we launch the next video, we'll be speaking to certain theories about religion. We'll start off with Christianity, of course, because that's the primary element that's the enemy. In my mind, that's the enemy. We're not going to treat it like an enemy. We're going to be cool with it. We're going to give it, the respect that it deserves. But we're going to engage Judeo-Christian values first and speak to different theories that perhaps most people aren't even aware of, as to, theories as to the validity or as to the reality of these doctrines and issues. So thank you for this time. Again, Kila Salai, Terve Uni, Siari Namaste.